Welcome back to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast. And in case you're just joining us, you're listening to the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast with Emmy, Hikins, and Trevor.
Years ago now, and it's a breakfast or brunch, and it's a very popular thing, particularly in America. Eggs Benedict, and I think you can get it in restaurants here as well. Let me tell you what it comprises. It comes with an English muffin broken in half, which is then toasted, and that's topped with Canadian bacon. I'm going to make you feel hungry in a minute, cuz. So English muffin toasted, topped with Canadian bacon, then 2 or 3 poached eggs, which is quite a lot, but it is all part of the deal. And then it's topped off with the classic French hollandaise sauce. And I think it's been described as very decadent, very rich, but very satisfying. I have had one once, and once it's to that extent of all the component parts of the recipe, and it is very good. It's very good. So that's an Eggs Benedict. It was named after a guy called Lemuel Benedict in New York. He got very drunk one night. He was a businessman. So he went to the hotel the next morning where he used to have his breakfast, and he spoke to the waiter, and he wanted this recipe that I've just described. The waiter went to the chef, who really liked it, and he called it's his Eggs Benedict, and it started life from there, Eggs Benedict. And apparently it was good for Lemuel Benedict's hangover. So it's also a hangover cure as well. So that's eggs. A very good, easy food to make. Lots of different ways, aren't there? Fried, poached. Eggs Benedict is poached eggs, of course, boiled, hard-boiled, etc., etc. So let's be grateful for the humble egg and the hens that provide it. It's good stuff.
And of course, I think you left out the egg omelette.
Of course I did, yeah. I was just seeing if you were paying attention. That's why I didn't say that. So that's eggs, which leads us nicely on to, suffragettes. I couldn't think of a way to link the two. So can you describe what the suffragettes were and what they did?
Was it the women that fought for the women's right to vote in England?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something about that, because it's quite an interesting story. There were women's groups in the late 1800s, early 1900s, who were campaigning, advocating for women's suffrage, which means the right to vote, because incredibly, women could not vote at all. They had no rights to vote. So there are a couple of various groups, but 2 specific ones. One, they formed the National Union of Women's Suffrage, and they were actually called suffragists, which is not so commonly known, suffragists. But they were a group who protested, advocated the women's right to vote, but they wanted to do it with peaceful methods. Peaceful means, constitutional ways of doing it. The other one, in 1903, somebody called Emmeline Pankhurst, very famous name really, the famous suffragette. She started the Women's Social and Political Union, which I think its motto was deeds, not words. They were very determined, very, very militant as well. I mean, we've seen in more recent years, we've seen some militancy, I guess, with climate change protesters, blocking roads, throwing paint on buildings and on works of art and stuff, and other things that can also break the law. And the suffragettes, as they became known, in fact, the reason they became suffragettes was because the newspapers at the time rather mocked the group who were doing this. And of course, it was women's suffrage. And it's a bit like the letters E-double-T-E, people put on the end of a name sometimes as a bit of sarcasm. Oh, these little people doing this, suffragettes. That's where that came from. So anyway, they actually were quite militant. They indulged in lots of window smashing, which is quite a thing to be doing in significant buildings. and other things. They disrupted important meetings where they could, and we see that now sometimes, don't we? We see somebody rushing on the stage in a political meeting or something like that, or even on a football pitch, you get people rushing on to protest about this, that, or the other. Well, they did lots of that. Some of them were jailed because they also committed arson. They set fire to buildings, but never, I believe, with the intention of killing anybody. They were empty buildings they chose, but they still committed what is a very serious offence. And when some of them went to prison, they went on hunger strike. So you can see the depth of feeling that these women had in their quest to get what should have been rightfully theirs, the right to vote. And this went on. In fact, one of the saddest incidents was in 1913, when a lady by the name, I think, of Emily Davison, one of the suffragettes,
The Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast is looking for sponsors. If you're a company out there looking to spread the word about the products and services you provide, please get in touch with Deepstuff Radio Podcast on info@deepstuffrecords.com, or to use the contact form on our website to contact us, please visit radio.deepstuffrecords.com. Also, if you're looking to get involved on the Alien Spaceship Talk Show podcast, reach out via our Deepstuff Radio Facebook page. Thank you.